The heart that saved my daughter was the heart of someone I denied help. This sentence will make sense shortly, and when it does, you will understand why I was never the same again. My name is Elisa Gutierres, surgeon, a reference at Albert Einstein Hospital for years, and for a long time, a proudly cruel woman. Yes, cruel. That afternoon, I was on duty, and when it all began, I was in the medical room catching up on the news. A bus had collided with a truck on the highway. Several victims. A war zone. It was the kind of tragedy that we doctors have learned to face without trembling, until the reporter said the phrase that ignited the worst within me. The bus was carrying Catholic faithful returning from a retreat for the Virgin Mary. I remember exactly what I said at that moment, and I also remember the faces of the team looking at me as if I were a monster. Devout Catholics of that Virgin Mary? Everyone on that bus should have died. Yes, I said that. I, a doctor, someone who swore to save lives, was wishing for death. Nurse Mariana dropped the chart. The nursing technician looked away. Even the air grew heavy, but I didn't care. At that time, I took pride in my intolerance. I thought I was defending God when I was only feeding my hatred. Minutes later, we received confirmation. All the victims would be coming to our hospital. I exploded and screamed. I'm not going to touch any Catholics, especially those who venerate Mary. I won't treat them. I don't want them near me. No one responded. But the look of disapproval from everyone in that room still burns inside me today. Then the ambulances began to arrive. I heard the screams, the crying, the rush, and for the first time, something strange bothered me. The first patient brought to the emergency room was a woman with a bloodied face, holding a broken rosary between her fingers. I didn't know yet, but that was the first step toward the biggest blow life had ever dealt me. The emergency doors swung open as if someone had yanked the air out of the entire hospital. Screams, running footsteps, stretchers being pushed at full speed. In the midst of that chaos, I saw the woman with the broken rosary again, Mrs. Carmen, in her 40s, hurt face, weak breathing, blood running down her neck. But even in that situation, she clutched that broken rosary between her fingers, as if that was the only thing keeping her alive. I felt repulsion, disgust. Yes, disgust. And I feel ashamed to admit that now. Doctor, you need to take this case. She has severe internal bleeding, said a nurse. I replied immediately, without thinking, without filtering, without humanity. No, I'm not touching a devotee of Mary. Pass her to someone else. I won't dirty my hands with idolatry. In that second, something unexpected happened. Even between moans and gasps for air, Mrs. Carmen opened her eyes wide with terror and cried out in a broken, desperate voice, "My son! Where's my son? Miguel! For God's sake, my boy! Where is he? Is he okay? Someone tell me!" Her scream crossed the entire room. Heart-wrenching, cutting, a mother's cry. The kind of pain we feel without needing to hear it. And I turned my face away. I turned my face away from a dying woman searching for her son. Before I continue, I want to ask you something. Write down the day and the city where you are listening to this testimony. This is very important as it helps me know how far my words are reaching. Also, please leave your like here on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Now let me continue from where I left off. The entire team fell silent, but no one had the courage to confront me. I was the head surgeon and chief of the emergency room, the reference, the one who pounded her chest saying she knew God's will. Meanwhile, another stretcher passed by my side. A boy, about 15 years old, pale face, bloodied, completely unconscious. The monitor was beeping too fast. "Who is this?" I asked. "Miguel. He was also in the accident, doctor. He's in deep coma. Possible brain death," replied the paramedic. That froze me for a moment, a child losing his life in such a tragic way, and I refusing treatment. Then something happened. Doctor Roberto, a 60-year-old man, experienced, wise, and calm, had heard me deny medical treatment to that lady. He placed his hand on my shoulder, something no one ever dared to do. He said, "Elisa, you have crossed the line." "I set my own limits," I replied coldly. One day, you will beg God to forgive you for what you did here today. I laughed, literally laughed. God is with me, doctor. But deep down, at that very moment, something squeezed inside me. Something I ignored, because I still didn't know that my daughter was among the victims of that same accident. And when her stretcher came through those doors, my entire world would collapse in a single breath. I was in the hallway, still irritated, still full of hate, still proud of the poison I spat out myself, when I heard something that froze everything inside me. Make way. This is serious, very serious. I turned to look. A stretcher was coming at high speed, pushed by 2 paramedics. The body of a teenager, bloodied, unconscious, breathing with difficulty. The heart monitor struggled to maintain its rhythm. For a moment, I just observed, until the hallway light hit her face. I felt my heart stop. Not slow down. Stop. That girl was my daughter, Camilla. My voice faltered in a way I had never felt before. I ran to the stretcher. My hands were shaking. My legs barely responded. I tried to touch her, but it felt like my own body had forgotten how to reach out to someone with love. What happened? What happened to her? I yelled desperately. Car involved in the same highway accident, said the paramedic. It collided head-on just after the bus. She was with the driver. The world spun. Everything went blurry. I could only hear my own heart beating so hard that it felt like it wanted to escape from my chest. Camilla, daughter, wake up, please wake up, I whispered, as if trying to stitch time together. But she didn't wake up. Dr. Roberto grabbed my arm. Elisa, get out of the way. Let the team work. She's my daughter, I screamed as if that gave me any right. And that's exactly why you can't interfere, he replied firmly. I was pushed back, and for the first time in my life, I felt powerless. Camilla was taken to the ICU immediately. The tests showed the worst. Her heart had been severely damaged in the impact, internal bleeding, multiple contusions, a very high risk of stopping functioning at any moment. The cardiologist looked me in the eyes and said, "She needs an urgent transplant, or she won't survive until tomorrow." I felt a vertigo. I lost my balance. The wall was the only thing that kept me from falling to the ground. And for the first time since my youth, I tried to pray, but nothing came out. No words, just despair. A despair that I had planted myself. Because while I screamed asking for a heart for my daughter, at that same moment, the heart that would save her life was already being connected to a machine. And I still didn't know that it was beating inside the chest of someone I had denied help. While I ran back and forth trying to talk to directors, coordinators, anyone who could promise me a miracle, something happened. But not to me. It happened to her, to Mrs. Carmen. Dr. Roberto took over her surgery. He fought for hours to contain the bleeding. He came out exhausted, but alive with relief. We saved you, Carmen. Now rest. But peace did not come. When she woke up, still dazed, still weak, the first thing she did was try to tear off the oxygen mask. My son, Miguel, where's my son? Someone tell me. Her voice cut through the soul. Dr. Roberto held her hand. Carmen, we need to talk calmly. She understood immediately. Mothers always understand before the sentence is finished. The crying came like a collapse, a cry that has no sound, only pain. My boy, will he wake up, doctor? Will he come back? She begged even though she already knew. Dr. Roberto swallowed hard. No, Carmen. His brain isn't responding. Miguel won't come back. She screamed. She ripped off the mask. She writhed on the stretcher. God, why? I only had him. Why take my son? And then something happened. There, in that silent room, Mrs. Carmen closed her eyes and clutched the broken rosary to her chest. And she listened. It wasn't the doctor. It wasn't a hallucination. It was a woman's voice, soft, maternal, almost a whisper that fit inside the heart. Don't worry, Carmen. Your son is fine. He is with me. Her eyes filled with tears, but her body relaxed as if someone had forcefully placed peace within her. And the voice continued, he will have a beautiful mission, and you will help other lives through him. When Carmen opened her eyes, she no longer had the strength to cry, but she had direction. Minutes later, Dr. Roberto returned. Carmen, I know it's hard to hear what I'm going to say, but I wanted to talk to you about organ donation. I wanted permission for Miguel to be an organ donor. She took a deep breath. A peace filled her heart. She remembered the voice she had heard, and without knowing to whom, without imagining the fate, she said, "Yes, doctor, Miguel can help. I accept." At that very second, in another wing of the hospital, I was holding my daughter's cold hand, pleading for a heart, and that heart already had a name. I had been sitting next to Camilla's bed for hours that felt like centuries. The sound of the heart monitor was the only thing I heard, repeating endlessly how much time she had left. "Camilla, please, daughter, stay with me. I'll do anything." But it was useless. I continued almost without faith. When the door opened, I nearly fell out of my chair. Dr. Roberto entered slowly, as if carrying news that was too big to bear. He looked at me for a few seconds, and I knew. "Elisa," he sighed, "a donor has appeared. Your daughter will go to surgery in 15 minutes. The heart is on the way." I broke down. I cried right there like I had never cried before in my life. I cried out of fear, out of love, out of despair, for a regret I didn't even fully understand yet. My daughter would have a second chance. The surgery was long. I saw Camilla being taken away with tubes, machines, a thread of life so fragile it seemed almost symbolic. I wandered the hallways like a lost soul. I prayed to God. I made promises. I negotiated with the whole sky. Hours later, the door to the operating room opened. Dr. Roberto was there, tired, sweaty, but smiling. "We did it, Elisa. Her heart is beating strong. The surgery was perfect." I couldn't respond. My whole body collapsed to the floor, this time from gratitude. I didn't know, not yet, that the heart I was thanking was the heart of the woman's son to whom I had turned my back, whom I denied care. Camilla recovered faster than any doctor imagined. In the room, her heartbeat was so strong, so firm, so full of life, that I found myself looking at the monitor as if gazing at a miracle I didn't deserve. When she was discharged, we walked together down the main corridor. She was still weak, but she smiled, and I clung to that smile. It was then that Nurse Julia passed by us. "Goodbye, Camilla. God bless you, my love, and may the Virgin Mary protect you and always be in your heart." Camilla smiled and thanked her, but I stopped. I stopped right there. "Don't say that to my daughter, never again." My voice came out dry, harsh, ugly. Julia froze, swallowing her fear. "May I ask why not, for my daughter? Everyone in the hospital knows I'm not Catholic and don't believe in those saints." "Doctor, I'm sorry, I only said that because the heart donated to your daughter, the one that beats in her now, came from a family very devoted to Mary." I froze. "What do you mean?" My mouth went dry. Julia hesitated, but continued. "The donor was the boy Miguel, son of Mrs. Carmen, that woman from the accident. You were there when she arrived. He was her only child." I felt the ground disappear. The hallway spun. The air became heavy, impossible to breathe. I leaned against the wall. My chest hurt, not from illness, from shame, from regret, from everything I had denied, and from everything she had given. That night, back home, I couldn't sleep. When I finally fell asleep, the dream came. Simple, short, poetic. I was in a clear, silent field, and I saw a woman in a blue veil, gentle as a breeze. Next to her, a smiling boy, Miguel. They didn't say anything at first. They just looked at me, a gaze that pierced through everything I was. Then the woman said in a sweet, deep voice, "A mother is complete when she is with her child," and she disappeared. I woke up crying like never before. The next day, I went to the hospital administration, rummaged through records. I found the address. I went to Mrs. Carmen's house. I needed to talk to the mother of the boy who saved my daughter. I took Camilla with me. She opened the door surprised, a little scared, not understanding. I explained the reason for my visit. Then I said, "The heart that beats in my daughter is Miguel's." Mrs. Carmen broke down in tears, but not out of anger, out of love. She asked to lean her ear against Camilla's chest, and when she heard her son's heart beating, her face lit up in a way I will never forget. There, in that moment, I understood everything and made her a special request. "Mrs. Carmen," my voice trembled, "would you accept to be my daughter's godmother?" She put her hand on her face. She cried even more. I accept, Elisa, because a mother's love unites everything, even the impossible. And that's how two mothers, two stories, two pains met through a single heart. The heart of the boy who saved my daughter, and the heart of the woman who saved my soul. Today, when I see Camilla and Mrs. Carmen together, I understand. I understand that God even uses our hatred to teach love. He uses even our cruelty to reveal compassion. He uses even our refusal to force us to choose again. If you have listened to this testimony until now, perhaps you have never denied help to someone. But we have all turned our faces away from those in need. We have all judged before loving. The difference is not in the size of the mistake. It is in the courage to recognize it. If this story has touched you, write in the comments, I choose love, not to please me, but to mark a point of decision in your life. I cannot erase what I said in that room, but I can live differently every day after. And that is exactly what I do. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next testimonies. May God and Our Lady always protect you. Thank you for listening to me. Amen.